Well, I think today's the day I do the wheel bearing and probably the control arms on this car. It's been asking me for them probably since the day I bought it. And the last couple drives I've taken, I think the control arms are getting pretty bad. There's definitely a little bit of play in the right front bearing. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be when I got everything apart. If I yank on the stud, it's really, I don't get the click click there, but if I really start rocking it back and forth, I do get a click click. So that's going to get changed out anyway, but a bearing shouldn't sound like that. And yeah, anyway, so that's going to get changed out. And then, like I said, I may as well just go ahead and do the control arms since I have them here anyway. And I'm really glad I did the bearing on the 850 because I bought this stupid 46, isn't it? 46 millimeter socket, which for some godforsaken reason BMW used on these bearings. So we'll rip it apart. Hopefully it comes off without splitting into a bunch of different pieces. And then, of course, I got to transfer the studs over. Forgot about that, but it shouldn't be the end of the world. They've got little Allens on the end, so we'll see. Not even sure why I'm running studs on the front only of this car still. It's just what it came with when I bought it. But yeah, get this ripped off, get the new bearing in, and then I guess do some control arms. Since both of the other projects I was supposed to do for friends today, neither one of them is texting me back, so that's cool. So I've got one small problem. Even though the encoder is correct on this bearing, it looks like, well, actually maybe it is correct. This one's just pushed back a little bit further. But the bearings are not the same depth. Maybe I'll heat up that encoder and slide it back, but it doesn't look quite right. So this will either work really well or it won't work at all. I'm going to try a couple turns without heat, and if that doesn't do anything, I'm going to heat up the ring a little bit and see if I can pull that inner lip pretty much all the way up to the back of this, using my old bearing as a template. So I'm even with the back of the lip there. And that's how this bearing was too. So I guess I will pull the studs out and we'll do some measurement, but I think we're going to be okay with the cheapo bearing actually. You can tell I moved it quite a ways. They ramrodded it all the way down onto the nose there. So either way, give it a go. Well, I'd say that's crisis averted. Everything looks perfect. So I forget, there's like a GMB or something. This is, I think, the only aftermarket bearing I've found under like $70, which is a pretty good deal for something that has the correct encoder ring on it for an E30 M3. And that was a pretty easy process with these, a $10 jaw puller. So this is an old Miley one, so it's actually not even original to the car. But I think if I had re-greased this, it might be okay. Still, I have a new one. New one's going on. No sense in not doing it. These studs, God, these were designed by Satan himself. They have, what is it, a 7/32 Allen on the front, even though they're metric. So I'll put a teeny tiny bit of thread locker on those, jam them back in, and then we'll go throw this on the car. Well, it all looks and feels great here. So I guess if the ABS doesn't work, when I get the car back on the ground, I'll know why, but it all seems fine. So I guess I'll throw the brake disc and caliper back on and start working on the control arms, if I have that motivation, and if nobody else calls me back this morning. So I think I'm going to hold off on doing the control arms until I can order another bearing. Because that's what I hear inside my car for sure, even though the other one had more play on it, or in it. So yeah, I'm going to order another bearing. Slap it back together just so I can roll it up there and do some more work, but what a great noise. Oof. I guess maybe I could grease it up. There's no play in it at all. I wonder if that's worth trying. So bearing toast. Also, wrong bearing. It has the wrong encoder on it, so I'm inclined to believe that even though there's no ABS faults on this car, the system itself is not working, which I guess I don't care that much about, but I want to make sure it has the correct bearing in it, so oops. Pulled this one off to grease it, and it's completely destroyed, so I guess I will have to grease up the passenger side bearing, throw it on there just to roll the car around, and then replace it at a later date, which isn't the end of the world, but I do have to cut off that inner race because it is pretty stuck. I'm going to try heat first, of course, but if that doesn't work, which it probably won't, I'm going to have to go for a little more desperate measures. Vertical video. Recently I've been cleaning out the old Stillwater shop, and I forgot I had my mini ductor flameless heat system. Did a couple wraps on that bearing race. Turned it on for about 10 seconds. Thing was glowing. Just slipped it right off with a screwdriver. So, man, that thing is sweet. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to grease up the old passenger bearing and throw it on there for now. But I'll order another one, and we'll get that done too. So I'm icing the kingpin, just to try to give myself the easiest possible case. The races actually look perfect in that bearing, so we'll see if it makes any noise now that it's all greased up, but that actually might be good to go. Yeah, I'm going to try to get this kingpin as cold as I can. It's already really cold, and we'll see what we can get on there. Solid as a rock. Wow, that's amazing what some grease will do. Yeah, the bearing races I took out of this side, and well, it fell apart anyway, but they looked terrible. And this one actually looked really good, but obviously it had a little bit of noise to it and a little bit of slop. Most of that's just due to the dry ball bearing cages. It's probably not perfect. I'll probably still order another one just so I have it on hand, but I'm guessing I'm not going to take that out anytime real soon after spinning it up and seeing how it feels here. It's very similar to the brand new bearing on the other side, and this is still a Miley, so it's a good quality unit. As far as the control arms, I'll have to see what time my appointment is coming down now. I might not do those today, but of course it's just the hardest part's doing the inside ball joint nut, I guess, on the engine bay, but I've got that removable carbon airbox on the driver's side if I need to, which makes access from the top pretty easy, and then the passenger side is usually never too tough, so I'm not actually super worried about it. And like I said, I've had arms sitting here for a while, and it does desperately need them. My treehouse bushings still seem just fine, but the boots and everything are torn, and they're starting to clunk a bit. Even when I bought this car, the previous owner told me that one of the arms was bent, so definitely worth doing. I'm just trying to stay ahead of as much of this stuff as I can now that I know that it's going on. I've had the car long enough, and I really haven't done a lot to it. So it's kind of a learning process for me, but I always feel better, when I have good wheel bearings, because like I said, the last couple of times I've driven this car on the road, it has been making concerning noises and feelings. So anyway, I'm guessing a lot of that was due to this bad SKF bearing, which wasn't even for an E30 M3, but yep. That's probably it for right now. Well, this is the last week I am down in this facility. You guys probably recognize it best from the upstairs, which has the yellow lift. But this is the downstairs where Blubzki was actually born back in January of 2014, if you've been following the channel that long. So just grabbing the final load of stuff here. And I'm going to drive this car, hopefully, with the very bad transmission, about 11 miles to my home. So give you a quick cold start and take a trip upstairs. noticing that this car doesn't have an alternator belt on it anymore, so hopefully I make it home on the battery. I think I should. Gotta close that door. Farewell, friend. Here's the hill where we drove this thing for the first, well, I guess the first drive. That video's on here too. No headlights, taillights, still had a bunch of primer on it. So I did confirm, no alternator belt, but we still have water pump, so good enough to get home. And yeah, just a quick loop around. Unbelievable. Done a lot of swaps here. A lot of part outs, a lot of routine maintenance. It's gonna be a little bittersweet to go, but the owner of the property is moving, so I don't really have a choice. And they're on to greater things, and I've got the new space now too, so yep. Off we go. One-handing this car is tough. Now we have all 4 gears. This car hasn't been on the road in like 2 years, so a little bit of a yikes. And here we are back to one of the famous oval bore voiceovers. So the car is back in my home garage. That's where it's going to live this winter. In the spring, I'll have to figure out exactly what the plan is for it. But in the meantime, I've got a fancy new adapter plate and flywheel for the 2002. So stay tuned on that project. I will have some developments out in Michigan in mid-November. I have been driving quite a bit. I took the Z8 out with a good friend of mine in the S14 car and my roommate. Another shot of the interior. I've just been trying to soak up the last of the fall weather as I can. So sorry I haven't been making videos, but I have been busy. And here's a teaser at the bottom side of the engine that will be going in the 1600. So if you know what this is, feel free to leave it in the comments for everyone else. But just a little bit of a teaser. So again, thanks for watching. It's been an unbelievably busy couple of weeks, but stay tuned for more videos in the future, and thanks.